Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. Even after 8 years of marriage, Charles couldn't find the courage to confess to his wife. The fear of losing her kept him silent. He often thought about how different things would have been if he had shared his secret before they tied the knot. Who could have anticipated that it would become a lifelong struggle? By the time he married Cassandra, he was already giving in to his urges 5 or 6 times a week, almost daily. He had hoped that having a wife would eliminate the habit. For nearly a year, it seemed to work. They got married in August, and the honeymoon was everything he had envisioned. For the first 6 months, she consumed his every thought. They worked at the same company but in different departments, often sharing lunch, making it impossible not to think about her. However, while shopping for a sexy nightgown for her on Valentine's Day, he felt the old urges stirring as he handled the items in the lingerie shop. He dismissed it as a fleeting habit, assuring himself he didn't need anything more. He had Cassandra. But that wasn't the end of it. In April, during a few days off, he decided to help with the laundry. As he pulled the white clothes from the dryer and placed them on top, he folded them just like Cassandra did. She was meticulously organized, a quality expected from an ambitious professional. The lingerie felt warm in his hands, and suddenly, memories flooded back. At 8 years old, he had watched his older sister when their mother left her in charge of the laundry. As most girls her age did, she spent half her time on the phone, which is where she was when the dryer stopped. "Charles, be a dear. Get the clothes out of the dryer. Just separate them into piles, yours, mine, Mom's, and Dad's. I'll fold them later." "Thanks," she said, holding the phone away from her ear. Being a well-behaved little boy, he complied. He opened the dryer door and pulled out the clothes in 2 big handfuls, then climbed on a chair to sort them. The lingerie felt so soft and silky, igniting a pang of jealousy. He envied his sister for wearing such lovely underwear. It was far superior to his jockey shorts. That's when he decided to borrow a pair. When he later tried them on, he was overwhelmed. It was far more heavenly than he had anticipated. From that point on, he always had at least one borrowed pair of her underwear. As he grew older and found himself home alone, he ventured into slips, bras, and dresses. By 6th grade, he was wearing her pantyhose and high heels. In high school, he started sleeping in her nightgowns a couple of nights each week, always doing the laundry to ensure he could borrow more. He also scoured charitable donations for usable hand-me-downs, accumulating a collection of lingerie and dresses. He had always believed this was just a phase that would fade once he got married. Yet, here he was, longing to slip on a pair of peach-colored panties adorned with lace. They felt delicious against his skin. He tried to shake it off, but the urge lingered. Eventually, he succumbed and put them on. The sensation was still euphoric. A few minutes later, he added a bra and, in a flurry of nervous excitement, donned a slip and a dress. He knew his slight build was close to Cassandra's size, but he hadn't realized just how closely they matched. This marked the beginning of his secret dress-up sessions a couple of times a week. Cassandra attended sales meetings every Tuesday and Thursday, which allowed him to catch a ride home with John from the mailroom. John lived a mile and a half farther out, and though he wasn't the brightest guy, he had a heart of gold and wouldn't accept any money for the rides. "It's only 2 nights a week, and I only drive 2 blocks. I wouldn't charge you anyway," he said. When Charles got home, he would change into something more comfortable and prepare dinner for Cassandra. He kept his own pantyhose and shoes hidden, not wanting to stretch out her hosiery or draw attention with his larger feet. 7 years later, they were moving into a duplex just 2 weeks after their anniversary. The primary reason for the move was that it brought them 2 miles closer to work, but Charles also craved a bit more privacy. He took care to pack away his belongings so Cassandra wouldn't discover anything during the move. Within 2 weeks, he had established his hiding place and returned to his old habits. Their landlady, Margo, was genuinely kind and about 10 years older than they were. Standing a little taller than Charles and having a sturdy build, she had 2 daughters, Kelly, age 11, and Lydia, age 13. In that short time, Cassandra had already befriended Margo, which led to their regular Saturday morning coffee gatherings. Every Saturday at around 10 a.m., they would meet on the patio for coffee. It turned out that Margo enjoyed her coffee every morning, often baking cookies and cakes to share with Charles and Cassandra. One rainy Saturday, Margo called to invite them over for coffee in her living room. This quickly became a regular Saturday tradition, rain or shine, they enjoyed coffee with Margo. This routine also led to the occasional Saturday night movie rental. Each would pick a film, taking turns hosting. Sometimes they would watch at Margo's, and other times at Charles and Cassandra's. These gatherings happened roughly every other month, far less regularly than their coffee meetups. When there weren't any new releases that piqued their interest, they would revisit an old favorite. One early May evening, Margo chose Tootsie. At the movie's end, Dustin Hoffman delivered his famous line, "I was a better man to you as a woman than I ever was as a man to any woman." Margo commented, "I think he had a point. Men should experience life as a woman for a while. It might foster compassion for women in general and especially the women in their lives." "Margo, I think you're onto something," Charles replied. "Men could certainly benefit from some sensitivity training, and this seems like an intense way to achieve it." "Exactly," Lydia agreed. "I can think of several guys who should try to act like a girl." "Lydia, it's not so much about acting like a girl, it's about being treated like one. That's what really matters. Both men and women tend to treat men and women differently," Margo explained. Charles leaned back, listening to the conversation as they criticized men. He decided it was best not to defend them when he was so outnumbered. The discussion grew serious, culminating in a challenge that he could not evade. "Charles," Margo said, "why don't you give it a shot?" "What?" he replied, taken aback. "You should spend some time in a dress, like Dustin Hoffman. It would give you a whole new perspective on what being a woman is really about." Cassandra began to giggle. "Yeah, I'd love to see that." "I don't think so," Charles said, surprised. "Oh, honey, I have a beautiful blue dress that you would look fantastic in," Cassandra said, laughing. "What's the matter, Charles?" "I wouldn't think wearing a dress would bother you," Margo added. Charles felt a wave of anxiety. Did Margo suspect something? Had he been careless and left the curtains open? "If you think I'm going to wear a dress, you're all dreaming," he protested with a forced bravado. On Sunday, as Cassandra got ready, she pulled out a blue dress with a full skirt, boat neck, and cap sleeves. "Charles, wouldn't you like to try this on?" she grinned. "You'd look so good in it. Just try it on to see if it fits." "You're dreaming." "I'm not trying that on," he insisted, though he knew it would fit well and feel good too. Throughout the day, Cassandra kept bringing up the topic to elicit a reaction from him. Meanwhile, Charles felt increasingly uneasy, suspecting that not only did Margo know but that she had also told Cassandra. On Monday morning, he fled to work. Fortunately, Cassandra was all business at work. Since her job was in outside sales, they rarely crossed paths. The week passed as usual, and he dressed up on both Tuesday and Thursday, taking great care to ensure no one could see inside. Saturday arrived as it always did, bringing with it coffee with Margo. It had been an unusually warm week, with Saturday already reaching 75 degrees by 10 a.m. Even in the heat, Margo had worked her culinary magic, preparing fresh apple strudel to share. Lydia and Kelly joined them, eager to enjoy their mom's delicious treat. The women chatted while Charles listened, as he often did. Occasionally, he chimed in, but he mainly enjoyed being outside after spending so much time indoors at work. Unexpectedly, Cassandra remarked, "Oh Margo, you should have seen Charles last Sunday. I held out my blue dress and invited him to wear it. You would have thought I was asking him to take poison. He could hardly speak, he was so shaken. Every time I mentioned it, he reacted the same way." "Is that true, Charles? Does it really bother you that much?" Margo asked. It doesn't bother me that much. It's just not something men do, he replied. Well, they should. You talk a lot about being a sensitive guy. If you were truly sensitive, you'd jump at the chance to walk a mile in your wife's high heels, so to speak. Yeah, Charles, where's your sensitivity? Lydia chimed in. I don't need to wear a dress to be sensitive, he asserted. True, but you'd be much more sensitive if you did. Come on, Charles, you're not chicken, are you? By now, the girls were fully engaged in the adult conversation, hanging on every word. Margo encouraged them to tease Charles. What do you think, girls? Shouldn't Charles try wearing a dress? Oh yeah, I think he should, Kelly volunteered. Me too, Lydia added. It would do him a world of good. She smiled at him. See, Charles, Cassandra pointed out, everyone thinks you should do it. You know, you shouldn't worry about cross-dressing. Women do it all the time. I mean, look at me right now. I'm dressed for gardening in men's pants and a man's shirt. And Lydia? She's wearing boys' high tops instead of girls' tennis shoes. Kelly only buys boys' jeans and often pairs them with boys' t-shirts. That doesn't make them any less feminine. Wearing a dress wouldn't make you any less masculine. At this point, Charles felt visibly uncomfortable, so Cassandra switched tactics. Charles, if you're scared, I'll understand, she said. After all, you do have your macho image to protect. I'm not worried about my macho image, he protested. Well then, why don't you put on a dress right now? Cassandra proposed, springing the trap. Yeah, Charles, put your money where your mouth is. Put on a dress and show us that your macho image isn't what you're concerned about, Margo added. You guys aren't going to let this go, are you? I'm not going to hear the end of this until I wear a dress, am I? He sighed. Nope, Cassandra said, smiling. Oh, fine. I'll put on a dress, he said, trembling slightly. He waited, half hoping they would laugh and tell him it was okay not to prove anything. Instead, they erupted with congratulations. As he stood up, Lydia exclaimed, Dustin Hoffman went all the way. He became a total woman from head to toe. Cassandra followed him inside. I'll help you, dear, she said. Once in the bedroom, she opened her lingerie drawer and selected a matching bra and panty set in light peach, both covered in lace. She also pulled out a pair of suntan pantyhose and a slip in the same color as the panties. Instructing him to undress and put on the panties, she smiled as she fastened the bra for him. She found some plain cotton panties to stuff in the bra and helped him into the slip. Then she retrieved the blue dress. Once he had it on, she rummaged through her closet, shaking her head. Finally, she found a pair of worn slippers that had always been too big for her and squeezed his feet into them. She led him back out to the patio. The girls were delighted, and Margo beamed. Charles, I'm proud of you. But those slippers have to go. They look like they're about to burst. Wait right here. She disappeared for a moment, returning with a small case and a pair of open-toed slingback pumps. After adjusting the strap, she slipped the pumps onto Charles's feet. Then, without asking, she opened the case and began his makeup transformation. She applied foundation, blush, mascara, eyeliner, eyeshadow, and lipstick, then brushed and teased his hair before spraying it. Finally, she pulled out a pair of lightly tinted sunglasses and placed them on him. She took him inside to see himself in her full-length mirror, and he was amazed. He had never worn makeup before and felt exhilarated. He began to glide around the room like Grace Kelly, exclaiming how wonderful he felt, acting overly effeminate like Shirley Temple as he batted his eyelashes. Laughter filled the air as everyone giggled at his performance. Oh, I feel so feminine, he said, pausing to reflect on the first honest thing he had expressed about the situation. Then he continued, I finally understand how every woman must feel. It's such a joyous experience. I feel complete. In that moment, he truly did feel whole. This was the most fully dressed he had ever been, and he realized that all his previous experiences paled in comparison. A twinge of sadness washed over him as he acknowledged that he needed to get out of this outfit quickly, or he wouldn't be able to without making a scene. Suddenly, he snapped back to playing the indignant male, forced to wear a dress. "Well," he said, "I hope you're all happy. I finally wore a dress. Having let you all have your fun, I really need to get back into some pants." "Oh, but dear," Cassandra interjected. "You can't possibly grasp how it truly feels to be a woman in such a short time. You've only scratched the surface. You need to spend more time dressed up. Dustin Hoffman spent months pretending to be Dorothy. You couldn't even begin to experience anything like he did in less than half an hour. Just stay in the dress for a bit longer." "She's right, Charles. If you stop now, all you've done is tease yourself with the idea." "Really, Mom? Charles? He looks more like a Charlotte to me," Lydia chimed in, prompting laughter from everyone. "Charlotte it is," Cassandra squealed, and Charles blushed. "You're not going to let me change back, are you?" he asked. "Well, we can't stop you. But if you do change, nothing will have changed. You'll still be the same man you were before. The only difference will be that you let us tease you into looking foolish. If you want to redeem yourself, you'll need to get comfortable with the experience. Besides, you have an advantage over Dustin Hoffman." "What's that?" he asked. She stepped closer and wrapped her arms around his neck. "The woman you love already knows you're a man," she said, lightly kissing him. Instantly, he felt a rush of arousal. There was something undeniably sexy about wearing a dress while receiving a kiss from his wife, even if it was just a peck. "Oh, okay. I'll keep it on for a while," he said, pulling away, not wanting her to notice his excitement. A while turned into an entire day. The usual Saturday morning coffee clatch evolved into an all-day event. Charlotte helped prepare lunch for the group, while the two girls, who typically found something to do outside, stayed home all day. They engaged with Charlotte, showing interest in everything he did. That day, Charlotte participated in every woman's work or girl talk scenario that arose. He was surprised to find that he genuinely enjoyed the sensation of being around everyone while dressed. It would be such a letdown when he returned to dressing privately. The day came to a close with Margo and Cassandra heading to Blockbuster to rent movies. They picked out a couple of classic films, Some Like It Hot featuring Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, and Charlie's Aunt starring Jack Benny. Everyone agreed these were fitting choices, considering Charlotte was a guest for the day. After the movies, the conversation took an unexpected turn for Charlotte. Margo looked at him and said, "You've been a good sport today, Charlotte. It's been fun having you around. What do you think you've learned?" "What could he possibly learn?" Lydia interrupted. "He's only been pretending to be a woman for about 12 hours. I've been at it for 13 years, and I still don't really know what it means to be a woman." "That's a good point. Compared to your 28 years as a man, 12 hours is hardly enough to change your perspective," Margo replied. His wife pulled him close and hugged him. "You could always continue this tomorrow," she said, kissing him. "Yeah, all in favor of Charlotte coming back tomorrow, raise your hand," Kelly suggested, lifting her right hand. Lydia, Margo, and Cassandra followed suit. "No need to vote," Cassandra told him. "We already have the majority." "Well, it's getting late," he said. "Can we at least go to bed so I can take off the heels?" "Good night, Charlotte," Cassandra, Margo laughed as she stood up. "Charlotte, with that comment, I can tell you've begun the road to understanding. That's a song women everywhere can relate to. Come on, girls, let's go home so these two can go to bed." Later, in the bedroom, Charlotte had taken off the dress when Cassandra called him into the bathroom. "Charlotte, come in here. I've set everything up for you to remove your makeup. Trust me, you don't want to sleep in that stuff." He entered, and she explained her nightly routine as she went through it. "You might as well do everything a woman would do," she said. As she finished one step, Cassandra guided him through the next. First, she removed her makeup using cold cream. While he began the same process, she washed her face with apricot scrub. When he started applying the scrub,
She quickly put on a setting mask and began brushing out her hair as it dried. Once he rinsed off the scrub, she helped him apply the mask and handed him a brush. She brushed her hair thoroughly, and he followed suit. When she finished, she peeled off her mask and applied a moisturizing cream to restore the moisture lost from the scrub and mask. After rubbing it in, she blotted any excess with a tissue and prompted him to peel off his mask as she handed him the moisturizer. "Be sure to blot the excess, or you'll soil the pillowcase," she advised. When Charles returned to the bedroom, Cassandra had just slipped on a rather sexy nightie. Reluctantly, he removed his slip, pantyhose, and bra. Cassandra watched him from next to her open dresser drawer. "Here," she said, handing him a pastel blue short nightgown with matching sheer panties. "Sleep in these so you won't interrupt your feminine experience." He accepted the nightgown and slipped it over his head. As Cassandra climbed into bed, he changed into the new panties. He quickly got under the covers and turned off the light, feeling embarrassed by his arousal and unsure if Cassandra would appreciate it. After all, masculine arousal wasn't exactly a feminine trait. Cassandra scooted closer and kissed him passionately. "That's for being such a good sport today," she said, hugging him tightly. The sensation of their two nylon-clad bodies entwined only intensified his desire. The intimacy that night was both incredible and long-lasting. Eventually, they both drifted off to sleep. In the morning, Charles woke up first, stirred by his bladder. While in the bathroom, he lathered up and shaved. As he rinsed off the leftover lather, Cassandra walked in, patted his panty-clad rear, and kissed him on the cheek. "If last night is any indication, I just might insist you wear a nightgown every night," she teased. The thought sent a thrill through him, which he quickly suppressed as Cassandra laid out her cosmetics and a moisturizing soap bar. "You should have lathered with this," she advised. "It won't dry out your face like shaving cream does. You'd better wash with it so your makeup doesn't sink into your dry skin." He followed her instructions, lathering up and rinsing. Then, she introduced him to the morning routine of a woman. After using the moisturizing soap, she applied foundation and instructed him to do the same. "Now watch as I apply mascara," she said, carefully brushing her lashes with black-brown mascara. Once she finished, she guided him through the process. Next, she demonstrated how to apply eyeliner and eyeshadow. He managed to get a decent amount on, followed by blush, which was fairly forgiving. The lip liner required a bit more precision, as did the lipstick. With Cassandra making a few adjustments, he looked every bit as good as he had the previous day. She picked out another set of lingerie for him, this time in a soft rose. The pantyhose had a slight red tint. She dressed him in a skirt and blouse. The blouse was an opaque rose color that subtly revealed the lace from the slip underneath. The burgundy skirt had pleats and hit him just above the knee. He liked how the skirt swayed as he walked, and the black slingback pumps complemented the outfit nicely. They had barely gotten dressed when the phone rang. It was Margo. "Hi Cassandra, I thought you guys might like to come over for brunch." "Let me ask," Cassandra said. "Dear, it's Margo. She wants to know if we'd like to join her for brunch." Charles looked down at his outfit and shrugged. "Why not? It's a cute outfit. I might as well let someone see it." They crossed between the two households via the patio. "Oh Charlotte, you look gorgeous. To be honest, I invited you just to see if you would repeat your performance. I'm glad you did. It shows you have the courage of your convictions." It was another day filled with feminine activities that would have normally passed Charles by. The Sunday paper was filled with advertising flyers from all the leading shops in town. Each of the others found outfits in the circulars that they thought Charlotte would look great in. He found himself unexpectedly getting caught up in the excitement of the game. "I think this one is really nice," he said, pointing to a knee-length dress with an empire waist and a full skirt. "With my height and build, it would hide what I lack in shape." At that moment, Cassandra, who had been looking over his shoulder, gave him a quick peck on the cheek. "Very good," she exclaimed. "You're a quick learner." Women often choose a style to highlight the positives or downplay the negatives of their figure. "We'll make a woman out of you yet." Charles cringed at the thought. He didn't really want to become a woman. He simply enjoyed visiting the world of women. That evening, they all sat down for dinner, and the conversation centered on how well Charlotte had adapted to feminine life. "You know, Mom, Charlotte looks so good I could almost forget it's really Charles under there," Lydia remarked. "Me too," Kelly added. "You know, Charlotte, the girls are right. Don't you think so, Cassandra?" "Oh, absolutely. Aside from a few masculine mannerisms, we could take him anywhere. Of course, he'd need to learn to speak more softly, perhaps with a slight southern accent like Dorothy did. That would be the perfect way for Charlotte to experience what women go through," Margo chimed in. Charles began to feel like an invisible participant in the conversation. "We'd have to have him practice a lot, though," Lydia observed. "That's true," Cassandra agreed. "How long do you think it would take?" "If he practiced every day, we could have him ready in a month," Margo suggested. "It would take another month for him to understand how women are treated before he could begin to grasp what we're trying to teach him," Cassandra thoughtfully added. "It would require all of us to coach him on everything. What do you think, girls? Are you willing to help? It would mean spending more time at home than usual." "Yeah, it would be fun, wouldn't it, Kelly?" Lydia said. "Sure," Kelly replied. "Wait a minute," Charles interjected. "Don't I get a say in this? After all, I'm the one making the biggest commitment." "Oh dear, we didn't mean to leave you out. But you will do it for me, won't you? It'll be fun. You'll gain insights into things most men couldn't even imagine. Just say yes. Please," she pleaded, her expression melting any resistance he had. The thought of going out in public dressed like this terrified him, and it was clearly what they had in mind. "What about work? I can't wear dresses there. You can still wear underthings." "Oh, I saw some women's shoes at Payless Shoe Source that looked like men's loafers. You could wear them with some trouser socks, they're like knee-highs but thicker and textured. They would pass for men's dress socks. I have those grey slacks with the fly and hip pockets, and that one white blouse looks like a man's shirt when the top button is buttoned. Add a tie, and no one would know," Cassandra explained. "My grey double-breasted blazer would complete the look," Margo added. "Let's try it." Charles found himself swept along with the flow. Before he knew it, he was dressed in the pants, blouse, and blazer. With the addition of a tie, it did resemble a suit, except for one detail. "It looks great," he said. "But it buttons the wrong way." "I can fix that," Cassandra replied. "All I need to do is make this button a double button, like this one." She pointed to the button on the blazer as she held it open. "You get started on that," Margo instructed. "I'll head to Payless Shoe Source before they close. I know what size to buy, he wears one size larger than me. I'll grab some trouser socks too." Margo hurried out the door. "Here," Cassandra said, handing her a credit card. Margo dashed off like a whirlwind. Cassandra then opened her sewing kit, selected a button, and began sewing it in place. After trying it on Charles, she realized the other button needed to be adjusted. It wasn't positioned correctly. Charles was impressed. He was in all women's clothing, and no one would suspect. If the shoes Margo bought were as good as this outfit, he could manage it. Finally, Margo returned with 2 shopping bags in hand. "I hope you don't mind, but I thought if Charles is going to be Charlotte for 2 months, he'd need more than one pair of shoes. So, I bought 2 pairs of heels and 2 pairs of flats. I couldn't decide between brown or black loafers, so I got one of each. Thankfully, they were all marked down 25%, and on top of that, there was a buy one, get one half-price sale. I think 3 pairs of these shoes were practically free." Charles slipped on the black shoes. While they were lighter than comparable men's shoes, they looked the part. The trouser socks were just what he needed. He wished he had known about them sooner. They felt like nylons but looked like dress socks. The heels were blue and beige, size 12W, and fit perfectly. The flats were black and blue, also in the same size. This felt like a dream come true, shoes he didn't have to hide. Now he just had to figure out how to keep them after his time was up. He was all set. Well, dear, what do you think now? I know I'm crazy, but you've taken away every reason I could use to say no. Plus, you've already spent so much money on shoes, he replied. From now on, you'll wear nothing but women's clothes everywhere except work. You'll wear makeup and do your best to act like a lady for 2 months, Cassandra said. That's the deal, 2 months, Charles confirmed firmly. That's the deal, Cassandra agreed. That night, his wife's routine became his own. He followed her lead in getting ready for bed, repeating the previous night in the blue nightgown. In the morning, he used the moisturizing bar for lather while shaving. Cassandra dressed him in her panties and a lightweight, transparent bra. Next came a no-lace camisole, trouser socks, and slacks. The blouse turned out to be more comfortable than his own dress shirt. He had never bothered to try it on before because it looked too much like a man's shirt, but it certainly didn't feel like one. The neckline didn't dig into him like his dress shirt, and the fabric felt softer against his skin. The tie cleverly concealed the fact that the buttons were on the wrong side, and the comfortable neckline meant he wouldn't have to loosen it. You know, Cassandra, this blouse is really comfortable. I should get more of them to wear as dress shirts, Charles remarked, testing the waters. You could, you know. No one would ever suspect, and I won't tell, she replied with a smile. He slipped into the shoes and put on the jacket. With his hair combed back, he looked like he belonged in the executive world. Off he went to work, completely dressed in women's clothes, confident no one would be the wiser. He wished he could wear yesterday's outfit, but that wasn't an option. Still, he liked this outfit. Cassandra was out of the office during lunchtime, likely in a meeting with a client, as she used the car for her sales work. He regretted not considering lunch together yesterday. He realized he couldn't wear the same suit for 2 months. They would need to make some adjustments. When Cassandra returned by quitting time, they headed home as usual. As they pulled into the driveway, Cassandra opened the trunk. I picked up some things we'll need for lunch, she told him. The trunk was practically overflowing with bags from 3 of her favorite women's shops. Inside, she laid out her purchases on the bed. There were 5 women's jackets, 6 pairs of slacks similar to what he was wearing, and 8 blouses like the one he had on. They came in white, bone, pastel yellow, and blue, all colors he already had in dress shirts. She also had a pile of panties in every color and matching bras. The bras were her size but padded push-ups, which she certainly didn't need. There were also 4 more of the same type he had worn that day and 3 more no-lace camisoles. I thought it would be better to expand your wardrobe over the next 2 months. You can't keep wearing the same suit repeatedly. Plus, we'd put quite a strain on my lingerie if we didn't have these, she said, holding up a pair of frilly panties and a bra. Charles changed into one of the new push-up bras while Cassandra made room in his dresser for the rest of his new clothes. While he dressed, she hung the new items in the closet. Then she began instructing him on makeup. You know, tomorrow you'll have to do this yourself. Of course, if you get stuck, you can call Margo, she'd help you. That evening, Cassandra dropped a bombshell as she was in the kitchen looking at the calendar. Charlotte, she said, I just realized that for you to stick to the deal, you'll need to go on vacation as Charlotte. The first week of our vacation coincides with the last week of the deal. Really? Charlotte replied, coming over to check the dates. Well, we've already spent too much money to back out now. Besides, Margo would say it's just me getting cold feet. We'll be staying at a motel. You won't be able to check in as a woman and then out as a man. So, I'll go an extra week. After 2 months, what's 1 more week, he said, hoping he would have the confidence to go out by then. When Margo heard about the vacation, she decided to join them. They called the motel and managed to change their reservation to 2 adjoining rooms, meaning Margo, Kelly, and Lydia would be there to help bolster his courage. By the end of the week, he was almost as quick as Cassandra with his makeup and needed no prompting. Each evening, they held a session with the genuine girls, critiquing his deportment. Saturdays were focused on working on his tone of voice and breath control. They discovered he couldn't maintain a consistent Southern accent, but he could manage a fair imitation of Lauren Bacall's voice. Weeks passed, and before he knew it, he was in the car headed to a movie on Saturday. At the theater, Charles let Margo and Cassandra handle the ticket purchases while he chatted with Kelly and Lydia. Dressed in a pantsuit and flats, he noted that women didn't typically wear dresses to movies anymore. He managed to get through the film without incident, and afterward, they headed to a burger place for dinner. They insisted that Charlotte order her own meal, and he opted for one of the bargain meals by number. The busy teenager behind the counter saw Charlotte as the woman he was becoming. Feeling braver, Charlotte then decided to go grocery shopping, fitting right in. The following weekend, they planned dinner at a real restaurant on Friday night. At dinner, Charlotte felt quite nervous. This would mean interacting closely with the same people. Both Margo and Cassandra reassured him that he would do just fine, reminding him that the supermarket had been trouble-free. He wore a green dress with a white print featuring a full skirt, long sleeves, and a white lace collar. Black heels completed the outfit, and he carried one of Cassandra's black purses. It was just him, Cassandra, and Margo, as the girls had a birthday party to attend. "Okay, Charlotte, this is what you've been training for. Let's put your femininity to the test," Margo said as he got out of the car. They entered the restaurant and were seated at their table. The young waitress approached them with a smile. "Good evening, ladies. What can I get you tonight?" Margo ordered first. "I'll have the skinless chicken breast with a baked potato." "Soup or salad?" the waitress asked. "Salad with Roquefort dressing." "And for you, she turned to Cassandra. "I'd like the chef's salad with Thousand Island dressing," Cassandra replied. "Last but not least, for you, the waitress said, addressing Charlotte. He felt ecstatic she'd called him. He was passing. "I'll have the petite sirloin, rare, please. The baked potato and a salad with ranch dressing," he said. "Coming right up, ladies." "Well done, Charlotte," Margo praised him. "Very good indeed," Cassandra agreed. The meal went perfectly. The next day, they all went to the mall, treating Charlotte to the ultimate joy of shopping. At first, he hesitated to do more than wander around, but they eventually encouraged him into a store. Soon, he got into the spirit of things, holding up a dress to himself in the mirror when a saleslady approached and asked if he'd like to try it on. Surprised, he turned and caught Cassandra's eye. She nodded enthusiastically. "Please," he managed softly. In that moment, he entered the inner sanctum of the women's world, truly accepted as a woman. He was invited into the fitting room, and from then on, he couldn't get enough. He explored fitting rooms in every women's shop and department in the mall. By the end of the day, he had purchased 9 dresses, 6 for himself along with 4 pairs of shoes, 2 for him, 3 nightgowns, 2 for him, and a gorgeous new coat. He even bought a swimsuit for their vacation. Every weekend after that, Charlotte was out and about. Soon, the closet was bursting with new clothes for her. Cassandra never commented on how much was being spent. After all, everything except the shoes would also fit her. To Cassandra, Charlotte's wardrobe was simply a good place to borrow whatever she didn't have. Before he knew it, it was vacation time. He packed all women's clothes, with not a single piece of men's clothing in his suitcase, not even what he had worn to work. Everything was feminine, including some pants and shorts, both without a fly. By now, Charlotte was so confident that she checked into the motel wearing a skirt and blouse, carrying a bone-colored purse and wearing matching low-heeled pumps. "Hello, I have a reservation for Charlotte and Cassandra Johnston," she said in her best Lauren Bacall voice. "Just a moment, please," the middle-aged woman behind the counter said as she typed in the name. "Yes, here it is. You have an adjoining room with Margo Carson," she said, handing over a registration card. "Yes, she's right behind us." Just then, Margo walked in. "Oh, hi Charlotte. All checked in?" she asked. "Not quite," he replied, filling out the card. "You must be Margo Carson," the desk clerk said, producing another reservation card. "Yes, I am," Margo responded. "There we are," Charlotte said as she handed the card back. "Here are your keys. And yours, Mrs. Carson," the desk clerk said. "I hope you ladies have a nice stay. If there's anything you need, just call the front desk," she added. Charlotte walked out on cloud nine. "Ladies," she had said. The 2 weeks had been delightful, with their room overlooking the ocean and a large shared deck where they spent plenty of time. The motel featured a swimming pool, and Charlotte enjoyed it so much that she ended up with a tan on her back. They dined in the motel restaurant several times each week and, of course, went shopping, where Charlotte picked up a lot of summer clothes. As the 2 weeks came to an end, they loaded up the cars and headed home. That night, Charlotte went through the nightly ritual that had become second nature. She slipped into a nightgown and climbed into bed, where Cassandra snuggled up close. After some very passionate lovemaking, they drifted off to sleep. In the morning, Charles got up, lathered up with the moisturizing bar, and shaved. Afterward, he dressed in panties and a bra, followed by a no-lace camisole, trouser socks, and slacks. He topped off the outfit with a masculine blouse, a tie, and a women's blazer, completing the look with his women's loafers. "You look great this morning, dear," Cassandra complimented him as they got into the car. Work felt monotonous, pun intended. After work, as usual, he removed his tie and buttoned the jacket the other way around as he settled into the car. He took a clutch purse from the inside pocket and sprayed himself with perfume. When he got home, he headed straight for the bedroom while Cassandra began preparing dinner. He changed into his panties, a push-up bra, and pantyhose. In the bathroom, he teased his hair for added volume and applied his makeup. After slipping into a dress and a pair of low-heeled pumps, he returned to the kitchen. He set the table while Cassandra finished dinner. The rest of the week returned to their usual routine. On Saturday morning, while enjoying coffee on the patio, Margo came out. "Good morning, Charlotte and Cassandra. You beat me out here today." They shared their typical coffee and muffins, fresh from Margo's kitchen. Charlotte chose to skip shopping that week, given her extensive vacation haul. However, the next Saturday afternoon was spent at the mall, trying on dresses. She didn't buy anything, she just relished the experience of trying things on. Things were definitely back to normal. Charles's birthday fell on a Sunday that October. As they enjoyed a late breakfast, Cassandra looked up at Charlotte. "Can you believe it's been 5 months since you wore any men's clothes?" "Oh, yeah. We packed them away last June when the closet got too full. I had almost forgotten about them. Do you think you'll ever wear them again?" "I'm not sure. How would you feel if I didn't? I have no complaints about how things are now. It's certainly a lot more interesting. Between your wardrobe and mine, we have one of the largest collections any woman could desire." "Well, I guess that means I won't wear them again. What should we do with them?" "We might as well give them away, I suppose. Let's box them up and take them to a drop-off center this Saturday." "Sounds good to me. Then we can hit the mall afterward. I heard Maya and Frank's is having a sale." "Oh, by the way, happy birthday," Cassandra said, pulling a gift-wrapped box out of the cupboard. It felt heavy. Charlotte opened it to find a pair of prosthetic breasts inside.